Are we live? Yeah, we are live. Showtime. People, deluded. I'm back again. Good morning to you guys, people. It's just shy. Well, good afternoon, better yet, people. It's noon over here in the UK. Obviously, if you're in the Americas and similar regions, it's morning. So good morning. If you're in Australia, it's probably past my bedtime, them sides there. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, depending on who you are, wherever you are now. I hope you're all doing well and safe, people. It's a Monday, so I hope you've all, last week, I hope you all moved closer towards whatever goals, hopes, and ambitions you have. If you didn't, it's another week that we have now, innit? So I hope by Friday, definitely hope we win tomorrow against Wolves, but generally I hope you will move closer to whatever goals, dreams, and aspirations you will have, whoever you are, wherever you are, however old you guys are. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Let's have some manners. Let's hit the like button early doors, man. Help a guy out, people. Help a guy out. I see there's 21 of you in here so far within the first couple seconds, and there's 11 likes. Apologies now. So couple of you are not doing your job. Shout out to everyone who is doing their jobs. We ain't got much to speak about, but we have stuff to speak about. I'm going to cover David Luiz. We're going to touch over the transfer business, more, not that we can already, there's not anything I could probably tell you that you don't really know or wasn't aware of. So David Luiz transfers, obviously we'll preview the game in relation to Wolves, and if there's any other things that I might have missed out, we'll cover it in it or we'll get to it. But I hope you're all doing well and safe. Hope you're doing well, my people, them. I hope you're all well and safe. Now, let's do it in a different order, just because I can see too many of you active about this. Jay is saying, yes, DG, I'd be happy with David Luiz staying at the club. You can see his leadership skills in play. Wilson has said, don't give David Luiz another contract. He should go, Timmy just said we should keep Mustafi. I think you're buzzing, but fair play. Joel is saying, I'm totally in with David Luiz getting a new contract. Now, I think that sets us up perfectly, people. We might as well just cover David Luiz first and get it over and done with. Let me share my screen. Well, not share this. As you can see, I was watching, I was listening. This is, I was just listening to music this morning. There he is. But yeah, that's not supposed to be there. But this is actually what we're supposed to have, people. There's been a lot of talk with David Luiz signing a new deal. We've got a couple other comments there. No new deal for David Luiz. Form is temporary, clown is permanent. I know he's just playing the bag. Now, listen, I have a love-hate relationship with David Luiz as a footballer. For me, admittedly, on one hand, I'm thinking, give him a new deal. For me, you do the thing where you marginalize him next season. He barely plays because at 33 years of age, not to be ageist, if he's still doing his job, he's still doing his job. But I think we need to move away from these likes. Aubameyang's a bit of an exception because he's typically our top goal scorer. But I feel at a time where we're getting youth into the team and things like that, we need to do it everywhere. When I look at it, David Luiz is probably a key part of the plans. He shouldn't have really a 33-year-old central to that. And the same just in terms of Aubameyang's age, because we're going to need to move on from that. I personally think we need to get, Gabriel back in the line. Obviously not right now because he's not doing the business, but Gabriel and another centre half, and then we move forward, because at some point you're going to have to look at David Luiz. And also what my issue is when we've got these plus 30-year-olds, nothing to do with their age and things. It's like, obviously the David Luiz that of 33 years of age is different from what he was at 23. And I don't think Arsenal generally we tailor towards it. Let's just say he lost a bit of pace and he struggled with a high line. I don't think we would mitigate against that and maybe drop our line deeper and have somebody quicker next to him. I think he'd get exposed because we don't tailor our game. So that's the first concern. Second of all, realistically, the whole new contract stuff, for me, all the reasons I'm giving in relation to David Luiz getting a new contract, it's just emotional stuff. Being a leader, that's great, but and I know he's got the pedigree. He's played for his country. He's won trophies at Chelsea. He's clearly a leader at Arsenal. He's clearly a big influence in the dressing room, to the point where we also heard previously that had a bit of a negative effect with Arteta sort of thing. So I get it, but I just don't really think it stands up. Leadership, all of these things are great, but we've been down here with talking about keeping man because they're leaders. And to a degree, I just want man to lead by example. What can David Luiz tell you that the other players can't or don't know? And I agree with the initial point about leadership, but you've got Tierney there. You've got players who have won trophies, players that have played significantly, and players that are learning on the go. I think experience is overstated. I'm all for, in theory, David Luiz getting marginalized next season. season and just being a voice in the dressing room. But I just think that's overstated. And at the end of the day, we're not a charity. In an ideal world, we should be covered with Gabriel, with Saliba coming back next season, with Pablo Mari's emergence now. Obviously, Holding is doing his thing. There's talk of buying a new centre half as well, allegedly. So there's no logical reason to keeping him. And at 33 years of age, he's going to want a decent contract, if not in terms of length, in terms of finances. So I don't really think it makes sense. You know, you will see his frailties next season. So me personally, I think he can leave with his head held high, but I think that one has to stay. I hear what people are saying about the leadership stuff, and I do agree with it. But, you know, I think there's leaders around in the team. You know, I think, why can't Aubameyang do that? You know, why can't Tierney do that? You know, Leno seems quite vocal as well. You know, the young players are leading by example. And for me, you know, yeah, he's in positives, but we also heard that previously he was someone a tough character to deal with and someone that was difficult for Arteta. So again, right now, Arteta's never going to say it. And right now we're playing all right. But we need to get rid of those sort of personalities so that Arteta can form himself. I think experience, you can't underrate it, but I think it's overstated, especially when somebody's 33 years of age. And the reality is, you know, right now he's playing well and everybody's saying give him a new deal. 3 or so months ago or whatever, before the Chelsea game, nobody was saying that. As much as I like David Luiz and I like how I like his mentality, I like how he is with the young players, he's too hot and cold. We don't know, you know, we might get the David Luiz that was playing against Southampton. We might get the man that was playing like a colossus against United. I don't know what you're going to give me at Wolves. And at 33 years of age, I think there's no time for that really. So me personally, I think we should keep it moving with David Luiz personally, but I can't begrudge anyone. I think that's a spot that could be, you know, for a new centre half or somebody else or do other things. I don't think there's a logical reason really and truly to keep the 33-year-old beyond this season. And again, he is trying to play for a new contract. I'm not the guy who thinks people, whether it was Willian last year, Aubameyang, David Luiz or Lacazette, I don't think players are just playing well because of their contracts. I think it's merely coincidental. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And obviously, David Luiz has played his way into the team. As you can see here, it says he's played 5 of the last 6 games. But there was a point where Holding kept him out of the team, you know. Even when Holding was actually injured for Man City away, David Luiz wasn't starting there. So I do think we're moving away from him. Personally, I think with Leno, with Tierney, with, you know, if somebody can lock down right back and we can get, you know, centre halves with more ages on them, with more ages left in their career, I think we can really have a stable back 5 really. And I don't think Luiz is going to be that for the future. I think the only exception is Aubameyang, and even Aubameyang, we should to a degree be looking to move away from our total reliance on him, because what happens when he leaves? You know, I'm here. It's great that David Luiz is a leader, but what happens if the 33-year-old says I want to bust out? Who's going to be the leader then? I think people can lead by example. People can, you know, Saka's a leader. Of course, again, I'm not underrating experience, but I just don't think that's the only, I don't think that's a good enough reason to keep David Luiz. You know, at the end of the day, the performances are hot and cold. And that's been the same case for El Nene. That's been the same case for Lacazette. That's been the same case for David Luiz. Again, like I said, I don't mind it, but it isn't really going to make much sense, people. David Luiz was spoken about very highly by Arteta. He said it's credit to him because he trains really hard. And for those that say he's good for the young players, Mesut Ozil's good for the young players. How many interviews with young players did I do? I heard it out of the horse's mouth and from people I speak to. Ozil's great. Lacazette's great around the young players, in particular, Lacazette especially. So again, there's other man. We're not a charity. I just think it's very, when I look at it, and my actual thing is to probably give him a new deal. But when I look at it without emotion of being an Arsenal fan, I don't think it makes sense to sign in people really and truly. Again, it's credit to him because he trains really hard. This season has been really tough in the beginning because he's been through some injuries, but he's kept at it. He understood his role. He knows his role in the team. He's one of our leaders and he's so willing to improve. He knows the things that he's really good at and the things where there's still room for improvement. He's a really honest man with himself. He's won everything and he's a joy to work with. He's a great example for them younger players. He's got a good mixture with them and some banter and some stick. So again, of course, he's good for the dressing room. He's a good figure around. I hear that. I understand that. But these are not reasons to keep a man, in my opinion. I care what you're doing on the football field. And at 33 years of age, you know, Gabriel, somebody else next to him, Tierney, 22-year-old, you know, Cedric, you know, played his way into it. So I'm going to include him, or just based on how much he plays. Bellerin, you know, we need stability, we need longevity, and I don't think David Luiz provides all of those really. If he plays well and he keeps it up to the end of the season, fair play. But I do think it's very emotional to talk about giving David Luiz a new deal. Very emotional to speak about giving El Nene a new deal. kind of emotional from Lacazette. It's a bit different because Lacazette's a quality player, but you know, he needs to continue what he's doing. As he said, it's gone on to say they all listen to him and all of those sort of things, people. And obviously, you know, Arteta himself has said, no, there are still a few months to go. All the time, I all the time talk to him about this kind of thing, so we're in a good position. He showed his character, first of all, when he made the decision to join the club. I'm not going to go on and read all of them, but yeah, if he carries it on, it's a decision to be had. And obviously, we know who his agent is and we know the people around him. But, you know, I think, you know, people can't just get caught up on the David Luiz right now. You know, a year from now, is he going to play to this level? And like I said, when we have aging players, we don't tailor our game to kind of help them or kind of hide their deficiencies, and those things, those frailties will be shown with David Luiz. So yeah, if he keeps performing, there's conversations there to be had, people, really and truly. Again, I was going to speak about Maitland now slightly later, but let's click on this. So wait, apologies, people. What was the timestamp? This is the review you lot don't need, people. Let's say 35. Luis, sorry, people. It's just I'm conscious that you lot are not here. I wish I had someone minute taking, but man, I have to do it myself, and that's not how it's supposed to be. Here we go. Oh, so yeah, people, we'll speak about Maitland-Niles in a second, but what are you, man, saying? You know, very mixed opinions in relation to him. I hope you will enjoy the yellow button. You know, it is deadline day. I thought, while Arsenal might not be doing anything serious, we'll have that. What are you guys saying in the comments, man? Work rate like CR7. Big up yourself, JA. I have no choice, man, if I want to get something, man. You know, give it a couple weeks into the new season, then he'll throw games for us. You know, the great I am has said, give him another year. Short-term signing makes a lot of sense. Experience of a World Cup winner cannot be overstated. Doesn't get bullied. Doesn't need to be an automatic starter. I think you're mistaken. David Luiz isn't a thingy, isn't a World Cup winner, but fair enough. You know, again, that's what I'm on. If you're gonna keep him, it's a marginalized role. It's more you're sort of the captain without being a captain. It's a bit like Joe Hart at Spurs. He's never gonna play, but you can tell why he does play, but he's around because of the mentality. I'm all for that, people, but does that, you know, as much as I agree with it, does it make sense? I feel it's a very emotional decision, and I just think when I look at it from a footballing sense, it doesn't make much sense, really and truly. You know, again, Tierney, a leader. Gabriel, a leader. Maria has shown me he can lead. Holding has shown me he can lead. You know, Cedric has shown me he can lead by example. The young players have shown me they can lead by example. Again, you get Partey has shown me he's a leader. You know, Aubameyang typically has stood up to be counted. Lacazette gets it, you know. So I do think we have characters. I would assume anyone we bring in is going to be of that same ilk. And you know, again, while he's not a World Cup winner, you know, Mustafi was a World Cup winner. So while I agree, it don't really make sense when I look at it, you know, in terms of the options. If he's going to do up the marginalized role, fair play, man. I don't mind David Luiz staying because for me, it's mainly for the young players. But again, are we a charity? You know, what wages does he want? You know, yeah, it's great getting rid of Mustafi, allegedly getting rid of Ozil, getting rid of Socrates, Kolasinac on loan. But again, if you're going to keep Willian on the books, if you're going to bring in David Luiz on a new deal, is it one step forward and two steps back? I'm not saying I'm not saying it isn't. I just got to give you everything, really. Do you get? So I don't mind it, and I'm keep the comments coming, people, because this is why I love speaking about things like this, because he polarizes. A lot of footballers at Arsenal, to be fair, polarize opinion. This man in shot who we're getting to, the man we've just spoken about in David Luiz, off the top of my head, you know, Xhaka, probably. There's a lot of players, depending on what Arsenal fan you speak to, you'll get a different thingy. You know, Harry is saying Luiz is brilliant, 100% extension, fair enough. That guy is saying give him another year. All I'm saying is, yeah, again, form changes, but were you guys saying that in November? And I hope he continues this form, but you know, are you not going to say that if results get a bit iffy in this February and beyond? You know, I personally, I say with these sort of man, let's sit on our hands until May. The only contract I'd be trying to extend right now is Balogun's, and that's probably someone who should be moving this month because we're not going to get no P's for him. You know, you're fully right. You know, there's different types of leadership. You know, leadership isn't just shouting and beating your chest and stuff. And I think that's one thing that us fans in England, you know, that's seen as the bee's knees. You know, running about for no reason and slapping your chest is seen as being a leader and things. There's many different ways, man. Luiz can do it in big games, but he's just shaky in consistency. To be fair, he's been shaky in big games as well. But generally, I agree, Josh. You know, and again, you know, ain't that what we need? We need man to be consistent. You know, what sort of example is it setting, really and truly? We don't. For me, it just I would want to give David Luiz a new deal, but when I look at it without my emotion, I don't know which David Luiz, as good as he's been, I'm getting week to week. I don't know if he's going to maintain this. I'm very wary of a declining player in a club that doesn't really mitigate against such. And obviously, is there a place for him in terms of being a dressing room man and all of these sort of things? That's great. But in terms of regular football, does it make sense? Or do we bring back Saliba now, who won't be the finished article, but he's got a bit of experience, I'd assume, coming back? You know, Marie, when he's fit, he's going to play significance. Hopefully, Holding continues this. There's been talk of another centre-half coming into the club. Obviously, at this moment in time, you've got Chambers. Chambers will probably be moved on, but he's still there. So I'm not too sure if it makes sense beyond just being a thingy sort of thing, man. And Rion has said he's done all right at Arsenal, but time to move on. You know, very different, very conflicting reports. But again, nobody's right, nobody's wrong. You know, this is why we're football fans. You know, everybody's seeing it different. You know, isn't giving him a new deal going to compromise Saliba and the number of centre backs? I assume you meant. Well, it could compromise Saliba, but you'd imagine next season he has to blood him in. You know, David Luiz is not the future, so his game time should kind of be limited, really and truly, next season. Make him a player coach. And I'm just on it for being a voice in the dressing room. When there's tough moments and stuff like that, he can be a calm, reassuring voice. He can be Arteta's sort of eyes and ears when Arteta's back's turned and all of those sort of things. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. Please make sure you're hitting the like button, people. Thank you very much, man. Who's the next guest coming on your show, bro? Well, we have to wait and see it, bro. We're talking about David Luiz and them thing there now. I don't know, my guy. I don't know. But please make sure you're running up the like button, people. 230 of you locked in already. I appreciate each and every one of you. Hope you're all doing good. Jamie, I see you in the comments. Good morning to you as well. Quickly, let's move on to Maitland-Niles. Now, he seems to have one foot out the door. You know, he's got one foot out the door. There's a lot of talk of going on loan, with an option to buy. Depending on what day you read his name, you see Southampton, Leicester, West Brom, you know, all of these sort of clubs. Personally, you know, if it was down to me and I was Maitland-Niles, Leicester would be the one that appeals to me the most, generally, because obviously you've got a couple of former England, well, James Maddison and these, man, you've played with them at England level, whether that's full international or under 21s. You know, obviously they've got a good coach in Brendan Rodgers. You know, they've got a good system, people you can learn from and stuff like that. You know, they're typically at the top end of the table. That would be good. Southampton would also be my second choice. But again, when I deep it at Leicester, are you going to play? You've got that Kasanju, you've got Pereira, you know, you've got James Justin, whether they're on the left and the right, central midfield. You know, you've got some tough people to contend with. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you go to Wolves. You know, the same could be said for, apart from West Brom, the same could be said for a lot of teams Maitland-Niles has been linked with. You know, us, well, technically he's at us, Wolves, Southampton, Leicester. These are all teams where he'll be a good asset. You know, he can play either, you know, he's a jack of all trades right now. He can play on the left, play on the right. You know, he can play in midfield and all of those sort of things. He's good for the squad. But in terms of actual game time, is it going to happen for you at Leicester? Because I just named bare man there. Southampton, it'd be an interesting one for you. But is there going to be proper game time there? You could play on the left, you could play on the right. If everybody's fit and Ryan Bertrand stays at that club, are you going to play left back? Are you going to play at the right? West Brom, in terms of game time, that's where you're going to get the best surge of games. And I think he would learn a lot because first and foremost, he's at the level now. Of course, the manager can train him, but I think he needs to play, you know, playing consistently, you know, playing. West Brom are going to be on the back foot 9 times out of 10. So you're going to have to learn to hold your position to remain focused. I think there's a lot to learn there. Of course, it's not as glitty and glamorous, but it's something to consider. He's only started 5 times for Arsenal. You know, Arteta has indirectly, repeatedly spoken about his application allegedly in training. I think Maitland needs to go on loan and play football, but I'm very wary of the depth. You know, if you let Nelson probably, because we're stocked in wide areas, you know, even if we look at the injuries now and people being out, Nelson could get game time right now. But Nelson, Maitland, Joe, even Eddie, they all need to get game time. Maitland, he wants to go to the Euros. He's 23 years of age. You know, we need to know, are you a left back? Are you right back? That's only going to happen with consistent game time. You know, I would love to keep Maitland, you know, especially because we're playing a dangerous game in terms of left back. Tierney's out. Something happens to Cedric. We're in a bit of problems there. So in terms of depth, him and Joe would probably, I'd probably keep them. But from a developing way, you know, they need to go. You know, Joe Maitland needs to go somewhere where he can play consistently. Joe needs to go somewhere. We're going to get onto Joe. Nelson the same, and they're all linked with other sort of things, people. So we'll have to see. But from what you can see here, apparently Leicester have joined Southampton and West Brom in the race to sign Ainsley Maitland-Niles. All three clubs have held talks with Arsenal in hope of a last-minute loan deal can be agreed, obviously before the deadline. Brendan Rodgers is keen to sign midfield cover following injuries to Pret and Ndidi. So again, and they've held talks with Chalobah. So it's great. And they're probably letting my man Hamza Chudbury go, which could have a knock-on effect for Maitland-Niles. Because if he goes to Newcastle, then obviously, I don't know if Joe's still going to go there and all of these sort of things. They all have a knock-on. So what do you see there? Cover. So if everybody's fit, and admittedly, I don't know Ndidi and Dennis Pret's status in terms of injury, but if everybody's fit, are you playing games? And this is it. You know, you're a good asset for Arteta, good asset for Rodgers, good asset potentially for Nuno, good asset for Hasenhuttl. But are you going to play? Now, at some level, you know, Maitland's going to have to show that he can lock down midfield, lock down right back, or do whatever. There's no way getting away from it. But I don't think to let him join Leicester, it strengthens them, really. And maybe Maitland has pushed for it. You know, he's changed his agents. You know, it looked like we turned a corner last season, but either way, he hasn't had a look in. It's down to him, really, really and truly. You know, really. So we'll have to see what happens in that regards, people. Moving away from that, people. And Joe Willock, apparently Joe Willock is, as you can see here, big up Chris Wheatley. You know, he said he watched my Brook interview on Arsenal, and he you know, comments from you lot help me keep going, and comments like this, you know, journalists are rating my content and stuff like that. So thank you very much for your kind words, Chris. But Chris, you know, a few days ago said Joe Willock's available, and apparently he's close to a move to Newcastle. Now, for me, in relation to Joe Willock, I think that's the right move for Joe Willock. He needs game time. You know, he needs to compete. And I think he needs that bubble to burst. I think it's too comfortable at Arsenal. You know, Newcastle trying to stay in the league. There's pressure on Steve Bruce and things. He's going to need to stand up to be counted. You know, Joe is similar to Maitland-Niles. Maitland-Niles is 23 and has played 121 times or so for Arsenal. And we don't know if he's a left back or right back. You know, you have to be, are you a midfielder able to play at fullback, or are you a fullback able to play in midfield? We don't know what Joe Willock is. I think he's a box-to-box man. He's been playing in a sort of cam sort of thing. The way he plays cam is not the same with Smith Rowe. His is the industry pressing sort of one. When we need a bit of quality and what we would say as an Arsenal 10, it's more Smith Rowe. I think Joe can have a future here equally. I think, you know, he's at that risk where he wouldn't. You know, he's too comfortable. He needs to go and play. Minutes are currency. You need to go where you can play. You're just about making the Arsenal squad. For me, go Newcastle, you know, try and compete with the Haydens and Shelby's and things like that. Come back a better player, come back a stronger player for Arsenal. And I'll get onto it. But what I'm hoping in the minimum, you know, if Nelson, Joe, Maitland don't come back, can you all turn yourselves, well, Maitland technically is, into £20 million players? Because that's 60 for Arsenal, you know. That 60 could be reinvested to get Aura and all of these things. I know it's not as self-explanatory as that, but you get the point. So, and similar to Maitland, Joe's played 76 times for Arsenal, if I haven't said that already, and I still don't know what you are. You know, he's still young, but you need to start showing the building blocks, and I don't really see any building blocks in relation to Joe Willock. Go and play, go somewhere you can play, go somewhere you can try and play twice a week, and all of those sort of things. So that's that in relation to Joe Willock, people. What else is there, people? Where is it? So yeah, Maitland seems to be going, depending on where you read, it will go down to the wire. Maitland-Niles is linked with Leicester, is linked with West Brom, Southampton, and these sort of teams. It seems like Newcastle is the destination for Joe Willock, and it seems that it's done. There was talk that Newcastle need to convince Arsenal, and apparently Joe Willock was undecided, but he needs to go out there and fight and show what he's on and do his thing out there, people. Moving away from that, you know, Reece Nelson has been linked with a bag of clubs, people. He's been linked with Real Betis, Valencia, and the whole other clubs, Villarreal even sort of thing, people. He's been linked with playing under Una Emery's former manager. Nelson needs to go and get game time as well, because I think what shags Nelson is obviously, I think where we've probably got the most depth and stuff, I'm sure Arsenal fans would agree, it's probably in out wide areas, you know. Pepe is playing all right in these last two games. Historically, Saka is doing his thing. We know what Martinelli's on. We know Aubameyang's a striker, but he plays out there. So there's good competition, and I think Nelson's a bit shagged in that. But I also feel Nelson could have had something to say with that. The problem is when you've got all these players playing well ahead in the pecking order, and you've got Willian, who is a favorite of the manager, you need to go and play games. Now, apparently Arteta made it abundantly clear he needs to go on loan in August. He stayed and fought, and at a time it looked like Nelson was getting a look in. You know, that end of December period, he looked like finally the penny was dropping, and I still think that could happen. But Nelson, all of these players that we're talking about, they're at the stage now where they just need to play games. Obviously, there's stuff you can learn from your managers, but the biggest improvement you're going to see is playing games, immediately playing games. And that will happen. And similar to what I said with Nelson, go and become a £20 million player. Again, our academy has to be self-financing. So again, if these players aren't going to progress to the first team consistently, can they go and make some cash for the team? But to recap again, you know, apparently going over this tweet, big up ZRAFC and all the Arsenal accounts that, you know, always make sure the news doesn't miss me and a lot of Arsenal fans. Newcastle are keen to take Joe Willock to St. James's Park with a view to a permanent deal in the summer. Now, I know a lot of you are reading that and thinking, yeah, I don't mind that. Can you do a 20 million? Can you do a 20 million and a sell-on clause? Safe. You know, I'm on that. Joe might develop into a real bad boy footballer, but we've made our P's. Our academy, Haylen, costs about 2-3 million to run. If you've sold an academy prospect who's played 76 times for 20 odd million, I'd say that's a success. So I'd say free up that. Apparently, Reece Nelson has been pushing the hardest of all to secure a loan move during this transfer window because he believes he needs regular football. Facts, you know, he's tried to compete at Arsenal. It ain't worked out. Go and play first team football because Nelson, you know, all of these players are players, especially Joe, Maitland, Nelson. These are players coming down to the last 2 years of their contracts, people. So a decision is going to have to be made on all of these players. So go and put yourself in the shop. Go and get some experience. You know, look what it did for Smith Rowe. He went Huddersfield. He's now back. You know, I remember when Smith Rowe played against Everton, one of Arteta's first games. Well, I think Lumberg was technically the gaffer. I would have taken off Smith Rowe at half time. And then he got subbed very quickly into the second. He weren't ready. He went and got some more experience. He's ready now. And that might happen. You know, it might not happen for you like Arsenal, but you lot all need to go and do your thing. Apparently, Arsenal are open to the idea of lending Maitland-Niles to Southampton, even though they're only one place below the Gunners in the table. Maitland-Niles, though, has still to be convinced after being told Saints want to use him as a fullback when he wants to play in midfield. So he wants to be a midfielder, but the teams you're being linked with, obviously you have to compete. I don't see how you get minutes there. I back you. You're a Haylen boy. I'm a big fan of Maitland, but I think apart from West Brom, I don't really see it, sort of thing. Apparently Arsenal wanting to play as a fullback. So again, if you don't want to be a fullback, you should have put your foot down and said that, listen, I'm busting out. So we'll have to see. I'm all on a permanent deal for Joe Willock, in all honesty. I can't sit here and cap to you guys, people. So make of that what you will. I know you lot have been going hard in the comments, people. So let me see what you guys are saying very quickly. Sorry, people. I'm just making sure I left a timestamp. I Rick a timestamp for the Haylen boys, essentially. But what are you lot saying? I'm seeing you lot go heavy in the comments. Marshall is saying, yo, DG, what's good? Is the rumor of Mustafi going to Liverpool true? We need a centre back. To be fair with you, I think Mustafi, you could definitely get a worse move, you know. It would be good for Mustafi, it'd be terrible for Liverpool. They've been linked with Kabach. They bought a youth in from Preston, so I don't think it's going to happen. I've seen Mustafi's name linked with Liverpool again and Schalke, so make of that what you will. Do you feel Maitland-Niles has had a fair run at right back? At times, generally not enough, my dude, really and truly. You know, Arteta is playing favourites. You know, he wants to keep Bellerin. Cedric has played his way, rightly so, into plan. So his peak for Maitland-Niles is as simple as that, really. But he speaks about he speaks a lot about how Maitland is training, so I'm inclined to believe there's something in relation to the application that he may or may not be showing people. You know, again, he's been the best signing of all the signings we've got from Chelsea. Gallas, Lassana Diarra, Czech, Willian, Luiz probably has it, or maybe Eddie could be, man. In fact, probably Eddie, you know, to be fair. I know we cheated, got him from A-Land and whatnot. Exactly, it's up to him. And if he goes to another club and it doesn't make sense, then you have to look at Maitland and say that's his issue. He's a leader. We lack DG and a decent squad player. Give him another year. I hear that, you know, in relation to David Luiz. But, you know, if we're still talking about a 33-year-old who is bipolar, to put it nicely, game in, game out, as being a leader, is what it is. I don't think we necessarily lack leaders. I do agree with you on one hand, but I think Leno leads. I think he's coming to his own this season a lot in that regards. I think Holding is very vocal. I think Tierney is very vocal. I'm even seeing Bellerin chat now. I don't believe the Bellerin one, but I just don't, I've always found it wary of when fans, I'm not saying you're saying that, Lee, but it's like you must keep someone because they're a leader. Anyone, if we expect one man to motivate consistently 25, man, how's it going to happen, really? It's not, is it? If he keeps this up and he signs a new deal, I'm happy. If not, then we have to look at it on a bit of a shaky one. North London Original said, yes, DG, for me, it makes sense to let him go. I like Luiz, but he's blocking a place for players that should be given a place in the team. I wouldn't think next season he'd be blocking a place. I'd think, like I said, I just want him to be sort of, like the Joe Hart thing at Spurs. You're just about sort of thing. So, yeah, man, it is what it is in that regards. What are you guys saying? But on that, but on Ainsley, I think he's finished at Arsenal. He's played many times for us and failed to lock down a right back position. Then that is there for the taking. To be fair with you, it's been a mixture. There's been moments of good spells, moments of not. And I just think people are playing favourites like Bellerin, to be fair with you. Has Martinelli been affected mentally by his injuries because he's not been great his last two starts? I don't think it's anything to do with that. Like you said, he's been injured. So you need to get that fluidity and all of those sort of things back. It's a simple case of that. And he came back, you say that. Remember when he came back against City or whenever he played with a bang? So I think it's just a case of injuries. These little niggling knocks he's taken in recent weeks have taken a bit of ring rust out of him. But Martinelli be back to usual, man. I do agree with that in theory, Reese, in that, and I said it last year, when we're doing the five at the back, mainly Ainsley Maitland-Niles is playing. When we're doing with a back four, I don't think it's happening. To be fair, though, I think he has played well in the back four in the 4-2-3-1 and similar things. But yeah, man, big up yourselves, people. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. So yeah, that's it in relation to the Maitland-Niles stuff. What else is here? That's just my Twitter. Make sure you're following me if you're not already. What's this? We'll get into that last. That's the groundworks. Apparently, just to go over this again, apparently Arsenal are looking to loan out the homegrown youngsters, to allow them to get more game time. But Arteta is refusing to let the trio join any Premier League club he regards as a rival for European qualification this season. So surely that rules out Southampton, that rules out Leicester for anyone. And that probably if you're Newcastle and West Brom, that gives you excitement, people. I think you need the loan the most because I see patches from Nelson. I see all right from Maitland. I don't see anything from John. I'm not going to lie to you. I like your tenacity and things. Sometimes I'm convinced there's a player there. Sometimes I'm convinced, how did we get to this stage? And with Joe, I think the club's got a lot of answers for because they've clearly thrown their hat on him, and that's me talking from a position of, listen, take my word for it. They've thrown their hat on him and certain other young players have been let go, have left this club for that. So you at least have to make 20 million for him, people. Make of that what you will. Scrolling down very quickly, people, will cover all of this again when we more speak about the Wolves preview. But in relation to Arteta had his press conference, and in relation to potential incomings, people, he said the last day of the transfer window is always unpredictable, so things can happen. They might happen, they might not. We are on it. So again, we've been linked with Ryan Bertrand. There's been a lot of talk with signing a left back, so that could be that. On potential outgoings, he said we have decided. And we are working on it. You'll find out before 11 p.m. So there's a lot of work to be done, especially when you consider the names we've spoken about. On Maitland-Niles, and this is how you know something's going to happen, because whenever Arteta says this, like with Odegaard, you know something's happening. He said, I don't know. I cannot speak about any individual players. What we want to do, the conversations we've had, the various reasons, let's see if we can get something done tonight. He also said on whether it's a loan or permanent, he said, again, I can't talk on any individual players and what our plans for them are for now or the future. And that's very different. I know it's not the same, but Saliba, he didn't say Saliba can leave permanently. A couple other players, he ain't said they can leave permanently. He hasn't said Maitland can leave permanently. In fact, he talks of Maitland pretty highly generally. But that tells you everything's up for air. And I say that because you have heard talk of it could just be a loan. It could be a permanent. It could be a loan with an obligation. He was asked, they asked him again and again and again and again. And he was asked him whether he likes deadline day. He was asked again if players can leave. He asked him what he likes about the squad. It's the same usual stuff, people. He spoke about how frequent he speaks to Edu. I'm not going to bore you lot and read this all word for word, people. And then this is a bit of a funny one on whether any high profile players will be left out like last time. Hopefully not, obviously, with the departures that have happened already, people. So make of that what you will. So we've covered Maitland. What's here? Joe, we've covered you. Reece Nelson, as I've said, people, apparently Unai Emery's side are keen to take Reece Nelson on loan. So he's been linked with Real Betis, he's been linked with Valencia and Villarreal. So he's got a lot of interest from Spanish-based clubs. Apparently he doesn't want to go to the Championship. So we're going to have to see what can happen in that regards, people, firmly. Let me close that. Got off topic, people, and quickly speaking about someone who has gone on loan. Arsenal's very own Matt Smith, who made 20 odd appearances, 26 I believe, playing for Swindon. You know, I don't know why his loan at Swindon was cut short. I did hear their manager speak about how they need to kind of to bring in someone more permanent, they have to let a loan go, and Smith was that. I thought Matt Smith was central to their plans. I think he gave a very good account of himself in League One. I think he's probably top 2 loan performers this season personally, and I think he's enhanced his reputation, and I think he'll have permanent offers we will field permanent offers for him. But he returned to Arsenal in the last couple of hours, and as you've seen, he's joined Charlton in League One again. So we wish all the best to Matt Smith. He joins Charlton. They're a good club. They've got Lee Bowyer, who's played in the Premier League as a midfielder. I'm sure there's a lot to learn. Obviously, he's staying in London. So again, I don't know how much that will help him. He's shown elite mentality moving up to Swindon, but he's closer to home. Means, there's always things we don't necessarily see. But as you lot can see, courtesy of Arsenal.com, Matt Smith has been recalled from his loan with Swindon Town and has joined fellow League One side Charlton Athletic on loan for the remainder of the season. Hopefully what they did with Coquelin can happen, people. Like I said, he done his thing. He done his thing to Swindon. We wish you all the best. And you would imagine not just him, but I would imagine, Bowler, Medley, Coyle, these sort of, maybe even Swanson. I'm sure Swanson returned from his poor spell in Holland. These sort of man, surely they go on loan again. I know we're approaching the deadline, but I'd imagine these lot go out on loan again, because the names I've said, if they stay here, personally, I think it's a waste of time. Of course, it ain't been the best of, Coyle had better good and bad moments. Medley was in and out of the team, rightly, wrongly so. Obviously, Bowler, very tough time at Rochdale. But I think regardless of whether it worked out or not, surely you've developed more than playing 23s football. I wouldn't want to go back to playing 23s ever. I definitely wouldn't want to go back mid-season, because it feels like we're just playing for the sake of it. So I do think we might see some more movement between our departures on loan. Maybe some players that weren't previously gone out on loan might go. I'd imagine the ones that have been recalled head out on loan before 11 p.m. So we'll have to see what happens in that regards, people, firmly. But yeah, man, good luck to Matt Smith and all of those sort of things, people. So yeah, we've cleared that. Apparently, it looks like Patrick Van Aanholt will leave Crystal Palace today. And again, we've been linked with Patrick Van Aanholt time and time again. It does look like it's going to go down to either Patrick Van Aanholt or what's his face, man? What's the other one? Patrick Van Aanholt or Ryan Bertrand. And on one hand, I do think we have cover at left back. Cedric's gone there. Maitland's still here on paper. Maitland's can do a job there. We've got a couple other things we can play around with. Saka, of course, if fit. Tierney as well, number one choice. And I get that. But if we're real with ourselves, on one hand, that's true. But on the other hand, we've got to look at it and say, cool, we need a natural. And listen, Kolasinac was a walking fire hazard, to put it nicely. But Kolasinac is a natural in that role. If Tierney gets injured, if something, Saka, I like Saka. Saka should be playing exclusively on the wings, but I'd rather Saka play there than some of the sort of guys that are not naturals they're putting in the shift there. Like Cedric's done his thing. He had a tough game once against Southampton. Last 2 games, he's been good. Maitland was poor against Palace, but let's not lie, he's had good things there as well, but they're not an actual out and outs. And obviously, Kolasinac, the writing was on the wall of him going anyways, because he was not playing football. But that's probably an area we're looking at, especially if Maitland heads out on loan. If the Patrick Van Aanholt or the Ryan Bertrand, whoever, if they don't come in, and if something happens to Tierney and Saka, we've got to look at that and say that's a direct consequence of Arteta and Edu. So I do think we're kind of covered. But if there is an opportunity to bring in someone, I think they should really. I think Patrick Van Aanholt's probably the easiest one. Like Bertrand, his contract's running up. He is been demoted to second choice essentially at Palace. Now we tried to get Mitchell, it didn't work. I think that one's easier to happen. Obviously, Southampton isn't too far from London, and Ryan Bertrand actually lives in London. But I'd imagine logistically, Crystal Palace is easier. And to be fair with you, I wouldn't mind if we could do a little deal. I don't really want Patrick Van Aanholt, really and truly. I don't, or Bertrand. I'd rather get someone with a bit more stability and stuff. But if we could do a little deal, maybe Reece Nelson go that way on loan or something, why not? But we'll have to see what happens in that regards, man. You know, you'd imagine our priority, it should be a priority, but you'd imagine we've still probably got some outgoings to deal with. You'd imagine Edu and his team are firmly, you know, dotting I's and crossing T's in relations to the possible departures of, I'd say right now, Joe Willock, because he seems the closest. Obviously, it seems like there's lengthy negotiations in the case of Maitland-Niles. Obviously, Nelson, where will he go? He's had some Spanish links, had some English links, German. We need to find a house for him. And apparently Nelson's pushed the boat out the most based on the last report we just read. So we'll have to see, people. I do think we will go for a left back, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. We firmly will have to see in that regards. What is this, Patrick? Sorry, people. Timestamps. So yeah, it is what it is in that regard. I saved this till last, people, because again, you know, if let's just say, boom, you know, we can't afford Hakimi, but they're saying, you know, they're saying that there's some issues with Inter Milan, and apparently, I'll go on to read it, but apparently Arsenal wanted Hakimi. Now that's dreaming. For me, he could go play Champions League football somewhere. But you know, if you can go and sell, if you was to go and sell Maitland-Niles and sell somebody else and then bring in Hakimi and say Cedric's your backup or Bellerin's your backup, I'll concede that. I do think there's a reality where Bellerin and Maitland-Niles depart this club because we've got some decisions to make in the summer. You know, we're going to have these young players going out on loan. Are they coming back into the first team? Or if not, loaning again or they're being sold? You know, you'd imagine, I'd say, established first team players of some stature, David Luiz, Bellerin, Nketiah, Lacazette, all off the top of my head. Decisions need to be made over their futures as well, based on contract lengths. You know, Pepe, again, right now he's in the team. He's in the team and doing his thing. But I do think Arteta might want to get rid of him. Willian is an uncomfortable elephant in the room as well. So there's a lot of decisions to make for Arsenal in the summer. But apparently, just based on The Athletic, Inter Milan have seen their cash flow severely affected by the pandemic and were unable to make the first installment of 10 million euros on the 40 million transfer of Hakimi. While Hakimi is happy in Milan, he'd be open to a move to England at the end of the season. Apparently, Arsenal tracked Hakimi heavily in his youth at Real Madrid, and their scouts recommended the club to secure him. Hakimi is thought to have featured prominently on their recruitment list right up until he began excelling at Dortmund and his value rose above 30 million. If it is a bidding war, we cannot get him, people. So it's a myth. It's an absolute myth. Real Madrid might as well take him back. Hakimi's potential signing is understood to have been considered again at Arsenal last season, but the price and the payment structure proposed, along with the club's preference to retain Hector Bellerin as first choice, scuppered any chance of the move at the stage. So again, this is another case of politics, like with Joe Willock, again with Bellerin. Again, Bellerin, 1 minute he wants to stay, 1 minute he's not. I'd be open to selling Bellerin and bringing in Hakimi. Of course, people will have to see what happens in regards to that. But for what it's worth, I think that's was. We'd all love Hakimi, but again, where's the money going to come from? Because I personally feel right back is an area of importance, because similar to when Tierney's fit, we don't talk about that. We're talking about right back. Right now, flavor of the month is Cedric. He's actually playing at left back, but we're all saying if Tierney's fit, it's him. Bellerin has had moments of form. Maitland-Niles, who looks to be leaving, has had moments of form. I see Freeman. I still see inconsistencies around who is going to nail down that shirt. If that shirt is not nailed down, then I think you need to sell Maitland-Niles or Bellerin. Keep one of them, or keep one of the three between Bellerin, Cedric, and Maitland-Niles as depth, and bring in another right back. Whether that would be the Hakimis, the Lamperties that we can all dream for, or a sort of less of a known target. Because we're talking about a 23-year-old, 26-year-old, and a 29-year-old or so. Neither are locking down that fullback role, and I want to see confirmation over that. There's certain areas we shouldn't be talking about. I think central midfield is, if I had any decisions in signing anyone for Arsenal, the priorities is our midfield, because there's not a partner for Partey. There's no depth if Partey is not involved. And again, right now, Odegaard is not our player permanently, so there's an over-reliance on Smith Rowe. Midfield is the priority, but equally for me, right back is as well. I'm looking at right back and thinking, yo, I want to stop talking about this sort of thing. So we'll see what happens, but I think we can all imagine that that's all firmly was. But people can dream. We can dream. It is what it is in that regards, people. Now, moving away from all of that, though, people, and I know I've been delaying the preview. We've spoken about David Luiz, so we won't go over that again. We've spoken about that. these were just my rough notes to what I wanted to speak about. But I actually wanted to scroll down here, people. I wanted to scroll down here and speak to you about this. Now, obviously, I'm probably jumping the gun a bit, like, you know, in relation to, and I hope you lot can all see. These are just random notes. I hope you can all see, and these are just random notes, like I said. But I'm jumping the gun a bit. You know, there's a lot of football to be played. Maybe the time for transfers beyond scouting isn't a thing. But for me, I'm looking at Arsenal and seeing how does the overall picture tie into what we want to do. And we all know, I would say, we have an imbalance of youth and experience. We've got an extreme on the extreme end, and then we've got the very young players. We ain't really got much bridge players, you know. We've only got a handful, you know. Marie's what, 25, 26, that's a bridge player. We might as well say Tierney at 22 is a bridge player. Kind of throw, to be honest, I actually don't know how old Leno is. My immediate bias is he's 26, but I'm sure he's a big man now, really and truly. Let me see how old Leno is. Leno's 28, so he's not a bridge player. So you get my point. There's not really any bridge players, you know. There's not really someone in the medium that even at centre half that we can, you know, Gabriel and Saliba, is there a middle-aged man so that when these both guys show both their inexperience and their youthful rash nature, can use him? So I think there's an imbalance, and I do think there's going to continue to further be that. But in the summer, I'm looking at our structure now. Obviously, we don't know if we're going to be in or out of Europe, you know, because on one hand, we're playing well. Mathematically, we're still in a shout for a Europa League space and hopefully Champions League. We're still in the Europa League, but we have gone out of the 2 cup competitions which carry Europe. Forgive me if I'm wrong. And there's still a chance we don't finish in a European place, and there's still a chance we don't win the Europa League. That's not me being negative. That's just me considering the worst. All of these have knock-on effects for what we can do in the market. Like you saw how vital it was getting the FA Cup and actually selling Martinez. So if worse comes to worse, or just in general, we need to look at how we're going to reinvest. And I know it's not as easy as this sort of thing, people. But would you lot say we could be selling too much youth because you've got Maitland now? Listen, I'll get onto the 3 Haaland boys that you can see there. But you've also got these two who are... Torreira's probably a bridge player. Guendouzi's more experienced than the other young players, but is still a young player. Played in a more advanced role for her for Berlin on the weekend, which that's one for the loan report. But again, I'm looking, and I know it's not as easy as this, but I'm looking at it, what we're trying to do. Now, we don't know our targets, but you can imagine Arteta, Edu, and whoever, they've got their potential targets for the summer, who we're going to sign in whatever position. I'm sure we've got grade A targets, B targets, C targets. Our first choices, our second choices, who we could get if we get Champions League, who we can't, sort of thing. If we don't get Europe, and I've always said this, our academy has to be self-financing. Now, when I look at these players here, people, you know, they're all probably got 2 years left on their deals or 18 months along with these. So decisions have to be made, you know, really quickly. In the ideal world, Nelson would get, all these 3 would get game time and improve here. But, you know, minimum, Nelson, can you come back a £20 million player? If you come back a better player, it helps us because we've got someone that could be thrown into the debate. You know, it's all Saka, but you was meant to be the guy. If not, can we go make a 20 million in a sell-on clause? If he develops, even more, fair play, but we made our cake. The same goes for Joe Willock if he is to go to Newcastle, and the same is for Maitland-Niles, whatever club he's going to, whether that's Leicester, Southampton, West Brom, whatever, in it. Can you all come back £20 million players? You know, if they come back better players, able to fight better for a spot at Arsenal, then that's fair play. If not, let's just say, boom, you know what, Maitland, you know, we're going to keep Cedric and Bellerin or Cedric. One of them's going to leave. We're going to bring in Hakimi, or just because we just spoke about him, or whatever name, you got to go. That's cool. Maitland can leave with his head held high. He's played 121 times for this club. He's won an FA Cup. You know, that 20 million, it should be more than 20 million. I'm using 20 million as a base, people. Cool, you take that 20 million, you know, the academy costs a couple of million to run, you know, I believe anything from 2 to 4. You sold someone for 20 plus, you can say how good that was, and he's played for the first team, similar to Iwobi. Cool, reinvest that. You know, Joe Willock at Newcastle, go there, bad it up. Hopefully we can install and get a sell-on clause and 20 million. You know, that's 60 million before you talk. You know, Torreira probably, you know, we're probably just trying to break even purely because his stock is on the floor. I don't think we will, but can you go and get your 20 odd million pound back? Of course, it's not as white and black as that, but we're talking about 80 million already in terms of outgoings. And then Guendouzi, you'd imagine a similar fee, which could ultimately be reinvested. You know, you're talking, that's almost 80 to 100 million on these players before we talk about, obviously, the financial structure has been freed up because of people going, and any other players we should probably let depart. You know, you could say we could be selling too much youth, and there's a lot of decisions to be made over a lot of these players. It's probably naive to think you're going to have a revolving door and all of them are gone, but this is what we should be looking at. You know, hopefully all these men come back and play for like 4 of the 5 names here, people. You know, I'd love Guendouzi to. I love Torreira, but you know, he's on a Yachty thing, and I'm not sure if he ever got to grips in England, innit? So if Joe stays, Maitland stays, Nelson stays, Guendouzi stays, I'm happy for that. But if not, and Arteta said, you know what, Guendouzi, it is what it is. You're gone. Maitland, you can leave. Joe, it's not going to happen here. Nelson, it's not going to happen here. That's 80 million, you know. And cool, let's just say, cool, all them man went and you took that 80 million, you spent 50, 60 on Hour and you done what you needed to do. This is why I say our academy, first and foremost, it has to be to blood players to our first team, but it also has to be used for stuff like this. And this is what I'm trying to see. Is Arteta and Edu and all of these guys, are they sitting there on a cerebral thing? If not, fair play. You know, we have to see, people. Again, we can't draw too many conclusions, you know, because arguably, why you shouldn't draw any conclusion? You could say once upon a time, Smith Rowe was probably nailed on to be there, people. He's been playing well. He's taking his chance. He's out of there. Smith Rowe would have been someone we need to loan out or keep it moving or whatever. He got his chance. He took it. So there can be no complaints firmly, people. It is what it is in that regards. So let's see. Like I said, I'm probably jumping the gun a bit, but I'm keen to see what happens. And it's in our best interest to find the best loan clubs for these players, people. If you loan out Maitland and he goes to the Southamptons and Leicesters where they're stacked, people can say, hold on, I like Torreira. Why aren't you playing? You know, you rejected 50 million from Wolves in the summer. Here's 10. If Joe don't play, if Nelson don't play, but hopefully we pick the right loan moves for these players to give them the best platform to ultimately excel and show their craft, people, and showcase themselves. So it is what it is in that regards. The last thing to talk about will be this, but we'll get onto that in a second. What are you guys saying in the comments? Real Bull Talk has said, well said, DG. I feel like Maitland should go to West Bromwich Albion and get game time. He hasn't proven he's good enough to start at teams like Leicester. Let him play games, then sell him. Same for Willock. Arsenal are making a mistake loaning him to other Prem teams. He should go to West Brom. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is nowhere near as good as some Arsenal fans make out. We should have sold him to Wolves when we had the chance. True. Ainsley Maitland-Niles has got way more gears to go through than Bellerin. You know, I think where he is, you know, there's been... Maitland hasn't really grabbed that shirt. And again, like Willian, when you've got managers that are playing favourites with Bellerin, you're always going to be in trouble, really and truly. We'd have to see. Joe Willock would be better if he developed as an 8 or a 6. He's got more chance of making it as an 8 or a number 6 than a 10 at this football club, in my opinion. Personally, we'll have to see, man. A championship team loan would be better for Willock. I'm not too sure because he'd be in a top league, but fair play. Reece has already gone abroad. Time to prove himself in the Prem and go on loan in England. Fair play. And even that loan spell, people were gassing up a bit. Personally, I felt he played well, but people were looking at 5-minute clips and not assessing his whole time. I don't think you're getting 30 million for Guendouzi with a year left on his deal. I think we should be looking to command that, but it is what it is. Did you see about the Football Terrace video where they patterned the racist yesterday? No, I didn't, my guy. But you know, fuck racism and fuck every racist in this world. So if they stuck it to them, is what it is. Mustafi is probably is leaving imminently. Freddie Paxton. So hopefully, you know, that's the sort of things you have to do. You know, Mustafi should be gone. He's been linked with Liverpool, and it seems like they're getting Ozan Kabak. So yeah, I'm sure he wants to race against time to go there. But yeah, man, you know, if Liverpool sign Mustafi, they're bugging out. But yeah, man, good luck to Mustafi. He needs to go and get game time. For me, I want people that are gonna be here. I want people that scream longevity here and whatnot. It is what it is. Let's see. Raw. Big up the comments, them. Breaking news, people. Breaking news. Shout out to, where is it? You've gone. Reality. Shout out to Reality for that. Apologies, people. Shout out to Reality, like I said, people, because I thought we was done with the transfer news, but he's played a blinder, you know, good vision there. Freddie Paxton is saying, Mustafi to Schalke, confirmed player is keen to leave and Arsenal happy to accept low fee to move him on, expected to be completed imminently. Now, Mustafi, ultimately flopped here. Ultimately, you didn't hit the heights. Ultimately, you know, you should be the center. You should be the bridge player. Remember, I just spoke people about a bridge player, how Saliba, you want to see him play, but he's still young. You know, obviously, Gabriel's a great player, but he'll show his inexperience, people. You see his inexperience. The 28-year-old World Cup winner should be that bridge player. We should be talking about who plays with Mustafi. We should be saying, oh, Holding's form means he's the partner for Mustafi, and the same for all the other informed centre halves. Instead, we're not. He has had moments of form at this football club. Ultimately, he's just not been good enough. It's just been error-prone, mistake-driven, inconsistent, just ultimately a failure. And again, I'm not trying to be harsh. That's reality. I want the club to learn from this. Do your due diligence better. I've rarely seen someone come here with high expectations and leave to this sort of stock. We was all gassed about the signing of Mustafi, or I was. I'm not gonna cap. We were sitting there and saying we finally got someone for Koscielny. He had a better reputation in Valencia or in Spain off the back of a strong sort of time in Italy. It is what it is. For me, I'm happy for Mustafi, because at the end of the day, he's going somewhere where he has a chance to play consistently. And at 28 years of age, you need to play football. Football career is short. Go and enjoy these years, And again, he joined Schalke. He'll join his boy Kolasinac and things like that. I'm sure agent Kolasinac has had something to say. I'm happy for Arsenal because, again, I think, again, with all due respect to Freddie Paxton, this isn't of Arsenal.com or things like that. But we did hear we was going to tear up his contract. So to save a few bob in terms of tearing up his contract and potentially getting a few bob in terms of a fee or whatever, fair play. Obviously, it takes him off the wage bill and things like that. And that's it, man. We need players that are going to be here. So I'm happy for him. Go and do your thing, Mustafi. Congratulations. Good luck to you. It helps us out greatly. And obviously, when you look at Mustafi, it's a good move for him. He's been linked with Italy, been linked with Liverpool. It seems that Liverpool weren't really onto him. But many people, you think when I say this, you lot think I'm talking nonsense. He's actually he's a German World Cup winner and has never ever played in the Bundesliga. So there's the opportunity to go and do that. As you know, he left Hamburg early to go to Everton, and you've seen the rest of his career. So good luck to Mustafi. Go do your thing at Schalke if it is going to happen. Is what it is in that regards. So yeah, man, big up you lot for making sure I don't miss any of those things. Arnold has said, how are Nelson and Willock going to be £20 million players playing for Newcastle? They are crap. Nobody is spending money, and we are paying players to leave. Well, you're right about that, people. We are paying players to leave, which is neither of those two because of our own individual mismanagement. I don't think that's true. Playing for, you've got a platform to play well. That's like saying Harvey Barnes at Leicester isn't worth 20 million, or Grealish at Aston Villa prior, because Aston Villa were fighting relegation last year. They're flying. I think that's a very dim way of looking at it. At the end of the day, playing consistently will probably enhance their reputation, which is what I'm saying is, can you try and get 20 million minimum for them? I've seen lesser players go for 20 million. You've seen players that ain't even really kicked a ball in the first team go for 20 million. And I do think you're screaming a lot of emotion with that. You can think they're rubbish and stuff, but it is what it is. So yeah, nonetheless, big up yourself for your rather harsh comments, but do your thing, man. Dow Square said, DG, man like Danny Simpson is hanging around taking up minutes on behalf of Real Madrid. We're pushing our home out through the door. Ceballos is better than Joe Willock. Is that real? Like, is that real? Like, if they're both fit, I'm playing Ceballos ahead of Joe Willock. So again, game time is not there. Partey is number one. Xhaka is going to play consistently. You've got Ceballos there. You've got Odegaard and Smith Rowe. I do think we should keep Joe for depth, but it's the reality. Joe's at the bottom of the pecking order. Let's keep it real. Like, let's keep it real. He ain't done the thing. Like, it's simple as that. Please make sure you're hitting the like button, people. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Baller. The Reading lad, baller, seems to be going by Munich if it hasn't happened already. And you're right, he is going into he is going into a thingy. He is going into a relegation battle. So yeah, hopefully he can go and help his Don Kolasinac out. And things like that. Mustafi just wasn't consistent. Stat ridden, you weren't good in it. Like, you weren't good. Like, you weren't good. If you're not consistent, you're not good, fam. So big up yourself, Mustafi, but it is what it is. But yeah, man, let's get into the Wolves preview, people. Let's get into the Wolves preview. So yeah, not Twitter, but I have to share the screen with you guys. Let's go to the infamous Google documents. Google, and I know YouTube, you're owned by YouTube owns Google. I know you can hear this. You lot should be sponsoring me at this point. So yeah, this is probably a short preview, people. Realistically, there isn't what can I tell you lot? What can I tell you lot about this that we don't already know? We know Wolves are a tough team to play. You know, we know Wolves are a tough team to play. I know the Wolves that, for me, I'm not even watching where Wolves are in the league. I know, and I'm sure you all know, the Wolves we're about to play are not the Wolves that we played when we was in that barren run, and they savaged us and we lost 2-1, I believe. But we was played off the park. You know, Adama, Pedro Neto, these guys were doing amazing. Now they've kind of struggled, people, as you can see there. They've lost their last 2 home games. The last time they lost 3 in a row was in November of 2018. As you lot can see, we've won our last 3 away games, people. And you're looking at it, Wolves only have 1 clean sheet in 14 games. When I look at it, the last 2 games, I know we scored 3 times against Southampton, but I wanted us to test the keeper a bit more. Definitely in relation to United, we did not make De Gea make them many saves. You know, the one time he was beaten was that free kick. We didn't really test him. We had chances. Both teams had chances, but you get the point. What I want to see is bravery. What I want to see is the desire to, you know, they took 3 points off us. Let's go take 3 points off them. What I want to see is the desire to maintain this unbeaten run and putting in a bunch of form. And whatnot. And as you can see here, you know, we were 8th, we've dropped down to 10th. It's 10th versus 14th. You know, if we win, we're still in and amongst the pack, you know. So it's not going to do too much for us until the other boys play. But when you're looking at your rivals, you know, Chelsea won, Spurs dropped points the last 2 game weeks, and it's Chelsea versus Spurs right now, the Jose Mourinho derby on Thursday. So again, on Tuesday, if we do our job, we could be in a good position. You've got to look at what other teams are doing. So we need to start taking advantage of it, sort of thing. And like I said, forget their form. Remember what they did to us. Because if we think that this isn't the same Wolves team, which it isn't, that we played earlier in the campaign, that will lead to complacency. You know, we've got to go to Leicester away, we've got to go to Villa away, we've got to go to Wolves away. These are tough grounds to go to, and we've won the last couple of away fixtures. I want to see that continue. Everybody stand up to be counted. You know, it's a new month. It's firmly this new month, same target. You want top 4, go out and get it, because any team in this league, if you don't think you justify, you come May, if you don't finish where you want to face, you can only blame yourself, because City's the only team really that looks head and shoulders above everyone, and it's taken City a while to get going. So again, and for me, the last time we stared down the barrel of a tough run of games, ironically, Wolves was one of those fixtures. Then we failed. So can we learn from our mistakes, forgive ourselves, and go again, sort of thing? Again, we know about their threats. We know about Adama. We know about Semedo. We know about Pedro Neto. We know about Podence. You know, we know they're missing Raul Jimenez with his stuff, but they still have people that can cause problems. We know out Nori, the left back, the French lad on loan. He's a bit suspect defensively. Going forward, he's a problem. Semedo. We know, you know, Conor Cody will be organizing the troops. We know exactly that we don't need to be here all day talking about the game. We know tactically what we're going to face. We know what their form is on, but we need to go there and put in a performance, because they have shown it, didn't they? Was it who did they play? Was it Chelsea or Spurs? It might have even been Spurs. I swear they drew. They played a very, very good game for the neutrals a couple of weeks ago. They drew, and I think Saiss scored. And Saiss is a danger from set pieces as well. For Wolves, if I'm them, I'm trying to do the double over Arsenal. I'm trying to put a damper on Arsenal's parade. I'm trying to get back into form, but I'm trying to put a damper on Arsenal's parade in the form that they've been in. Like I said, we already know about their lack of home wins. They've conceded a lot of goals. So if we don't rush, if they walk away with a clean sheet, I'll be annoyed. They're quite suspect defensively from set pieces, as we are. And we know their threat is going to come from wide areas. And specifically, you know, you're going to have Podence floating from the middle and the wide areas. You're going to have Adama, who's more aggressive. Semedo at fullback. Pedro Neto. Again, I shouldn't even be doing a preview, because we know what to expect from this team. It's as simple as that. I think just by counting on Google, my maths is poor. I just about passed it at GCSE level, but I'm pretty sure they've conceded 9 goals in their last 6 games, people. They lost at the weekend against Crystal Palace, which I'm sure they're going to want to put right. You know, they dropped points in a Black Country derby, Midlands derby against West Bromwich Albion. You know, crazy game against Brighton, and they lost 2-1 against Everton. Or, you know, regardless of the results, people, because I can't even remember all the results. They've conceded a lot of goals, you know. Go and score. It's as simple as that. You know, there's nothing else to say. So I guess the only thing we can do is the lineup, people. And I've put in brackets here before we get on. Gab needs to play, but everybody's played well. So I don't think Gabriel can get a look in right now. Smith Rowe for Odegaard, only if, you know, Smith Rowe seems to have been struggling with his fitness at times. He seems to be a bit tired. Maybe Odegaard could get his first start. We have heard already our gaffer, Mikel Arteta, saying that Aubameyang won't be involved. You know, Saka and Tierney are facing late fitness tests, but they might be short for that. Obviously, I actually don't know Tierney's injury, but Bukayo Saka had a sore hip, so clearly it's, you know, maybe it's mind games from Arteta. He doesn't want the opposition manager to know what he's on. Maybe it's legitimate, but you know, just to quickly, I thought I might as well just show you the team news, people, and you know, the games are coming every 3 days, people. There's not really a rest period. On Odegaard's starting, he said, "Let's see today how everybody is. We have some other issues in the last few days as well. Obviously, Partey and Smith Rowe have kind of been, you know, we've kind of been forcing them along. So if maybe it might be wise for Smith Rowe to, you know, on one hand, I think Smith Rowe's got to start. We've got to play our best team, our best informed team. But if he isn't fit and if he is struggling, then Odegaard's first start obviously has to come tomorrow, which I wouldn't mind that, people, really and truly." And he has said we have some other issues. So again, that could be Lacazette. That could be, you know, we've just spoken about a couple of other injuries and knocks. And there's also probably some knocks we don't necessarily know about. In relation, so yeah, man, he said, you know, we'll have a better picture of who's available to play tomorrow. So yeah, man, he's clearly going to run it down to the wire. On Bukayo Saka and Tierney, he said, "We don't know yet. Today we've got a training session and they haven't been able to train with us yet. So I think it will be difficult for them, but I don't know. We're going to try to the last minute to see how they're feeling, you know, and that's what we should do, take it to the wire." Obviously, Aubameyang and Lacazette are missing for different reasons. You know, Lacazette seemed to have hurt himself in the United game. He's expected to be available. He's fine. I'm sure you all saw his Instagram posts. He's good. In relation to Aubameyang, you know, I don't want to speculate, but I think it's become clear that his mother has contracted COVID-19 because of the stuff that Arteta has said in relation to the Premier League and whatnot. But he said there's still some things to clear up. Maybe yes, maybe no. We don't know. We're still doing some paperwork at the moment. Obviously, if Aubameyang's fit, that helps us. I don't know. I'm just going to go based on, in my lineup, I'm just going to go based on who I think is available. You know, I hope they're all available, but as a fan, I just have to assume they're not. My lineup, people, would be, it picks itself, really. You know, it picks itself. The only things that change, obviously, if Tierney's fit, Cedric moves over to right back and Bellerin comes out the team. If Saka's fit, then I'd probably Martinelli has to sit on the bench for me, and Saka will go over to the right hand side and Pepe will go to the left. At least for 45 minutes, I would want to try that. But my lineup would simply be this, people. It's as simple as that. It's the same lineup essentially that we had. Assuming the Sakas, the Parties, and these Saka, Tierney, and these guys can't be involved. My lineup is clearly, you know, Leno in goal, Bellerin, Holding, David Luiz, Cedric as my defense. In midfield, you've got Thomas Partey and Xhaka. In front of them, you've got the mercurial Emil Smith Rowe. Up front, you know, Martinelli would start for me. Pepe would go over to the right-hand side, and obviously Lacazette plays. Obviously, if Aubameyang comes into the team, then for me personally, good problems. But I would probably, you know, Oba would probably come in. You know what? I'd probably like Saka to I don't want Saka to be on the bench, but I think Pepe, I think we should give him a little one more game. He done well against Southampton. He did well against United. Can you show it to me again? And it kind of relieves the pressure off him, you know. And then I would probably go with Tierney, which probably means somebody is short. Again, if Tierney isn't there, then I'd rather Saka every day of the week just do me a job there. I think Saka's better there than Cedric and all of these guys, as much as I like what Cedric's brought to the table, people. So yeah, that would, to go back, that would, no, how can Cedric play twice? That would be my lineup, people. It picks itself in that regards, really, really and truly. Like, there's nothing more to add. You know, we just need to keep winning games. The games are coming thick and fast. You need to keep showing it, you know. And one thing I did like, you know, we showed that. I'm not going to say you didn't need Tierney and these players, because we weren't saying that against Crystal Palace, but you got a half decent result against United. You could have got 3 points. Injuries are part and parcel of a season. You're going to need, even building for next season, there's going to be times obviously sometimes you're unlucky than others, like, you know, Tierney, Aubameyang, Saka all at the same time, Partey and Smith Rowe, well, gambling with their fitness essentially. But generally, injuries are part and parcel of the game. You know, nobody cares. Do I have sympathy for these injuries? Of course, but you still have to get over the line. It's as simple as that. You can't, if we get to May and I'm part of this team and we sit back and say we didn't get Champions League because this guy was injured there, we didn't have Tierney against Palace, I'm sorry, but I'm thinking that there's something wrong with us, because it shouldn't happen. Injuries have dismantled many a season. Look at Liverpool, look at Laporte last year for City. But you still have to be able to get over it. You still have to have that camaraderie. You still have to get it done, people. So injuries or no injuries, it needs to get done. But in relation to my preview of United, there's nothing else to say, people. You know, we know what we need to do. We play at 6 o'clock. We know the ramifications if we lose this game and if we win this game. So go out there and win it. Simple as that. You know, we're at the business, we're approaching the business part of the season. It's as simple as that, people. You need to go out there and do the business. So yeah, there really isn't anything more for me to say in that regards, people. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. What are you guys saying? Get Semedo facing his own goal. Facts, 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 facts. Deluded that Maitland-Niles deal is off to Southampton is off. Swear down. Another big up yourself as well. Let's see. Transfer is exciting, people. Absolutely exciting. So yeah, man. Mustafi seems to be gone. Maybe there isn't a transfer fee for Mustafi, but let me scroll down. Ooh. Yep, people. Mad thing. Big up yourself, D, for that as well. Before I get into it, please make sure you're hitting the like button. Once again, people, I appreciate you lot each and every time. What are you lot? Well, some of you are talking about the Wolves game. I'll pre what you lot are saying in a bit, but Tom Leach, Southampton reporter, big up yourself, man. But yeah, big up yourself. As per reports, he said, I'm told Saints have pulled out of the Ainsley Maitland-Niles deal. The Arsenal player was taking too long, and Southampton do not see the benefit of bringing an uninterested player to the club. Other targets now being explored ahead of 11 p.m. And you can't blame them. You know, if you're moving iffy, that's a decision. I can't blame Maitland. You know, he shouldn't just rush to join Southampton. We just spoke about how he may or may not play, you know, but Southampton ain't got time for a joke thing. All right, you're not on this, safe. So it does seem like it's West Brom or Leicester now based on it, really. And like you can see with Chris again, Chris has said hugely disappointing lose for Maitland-Niles, who was ready to join Southampton on loan. His agent is AD Ward, who are Liverpool fans will remember, and his agent's actually a very good agent, regardless of what people say. As you lot can see here as well, people, Mustafi is set to terminate his contract with Arsenal before joining Schalke on a permanent transfer. So again, going back to what I said, or based on how I saw it first time, where there isn't a transfer fee, so I can't really applaud Arsenal for somehow getting a low fee. So it seems like we're just going to pay up his contract and he's going to join. So what I will say is we've got players that shouldn't be here at it. You know, 28-year-olds, been here for 5 years or close to 5 years, not really shown it. He can leave with his head held high. He's won FA Cups and that, but he just ain't been the guy. Just ain't been the guy. It's as simple as that. Apparently, Newcastle have confirmed their approach, people. Newcastle have confirmed their approach for Joe Willock. So we'll have to see what happens in that regards, people. I've got such a great job of clipping up this after, people, for you guys. But it is what it is. 6 points between 5th and 12th. So tight in the middle. Big up the Twitch gang, Deluded Guna 187 for those of you on Twitch. But you're right, and that's why staying in and amongst the pack for us is even more important. You know, don't drop off, because if we get into May and we're not in the top 4, it's our fault. You know, even where we are in the league, I'm a bit complacent. I think we're doing well because of how poor we've previously been. But if we look at it on a non-biased thing, we're 10th. We shouldn't be this complacent. So this is why I'm saying we need to forget of what we did last month. Let's just move forward now. You're right, man. It's a roller coaster, mad roller coaster, absolute roller coaster. Yeah, Pepe's a confidence player. And do you know what? It's not even a confidence thing for me. It's not even a confidence thing for me, my guy. It's he's earned this spot in the side now. This is what I wanted. Good problems. Like, you know, we over relied on Saka. I'm to the point now, like you saw with the preview, I'm leaving Saka out and I'm feeling nervous. This is the problems I wanted. So I think obviously he is a confidence player, and we've seen certain right backs and right wingers, even when they've been playing appalling, they've been afforded the luxury of consistently playing and consistently starting and all of those sort of things there. Other players haven't, which Pepe has been that. But for me, it's just the fact that he's doing his job now. You're looking like you're not looking like the 72 million pound player, but you're looking like you want to do something serious. So yeah, man, that's it for me, man. Tyler has said, even if Laka and Oba are available, I wouldn't drop Pepe. It would damage his confidence too much. It might damage his confidence, but at the end of the day, we're here to get football results. You know, in my heart, if I'm Arteta and I feel dropping Pepe and bringing back in one of these players gives me more of a chance of winning, I'm going to do that. You know, are we a football club or are we doing this sort of cuddling thing? I do agree with you, but it's the same thing, man. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. I appreciate all of you lot in here, people. It's crazy how news has been emerging since we've been online, people. There's 233 likes. Please, can you hit the like button? Can we get that to 400 people? Can we 300? Sorry, I'm not even being humble. Man said 400. Let's focus on 3. Man saying, can you send them all to Newcastle? Obviously, laws won't make that a thing, but yeah, man, I hope you could. Can we get it to 300 likes like C is saying? Please, people. So yeah, they've pulled out the loan. It is what it is, man. Bro, I would swap Gabriel as well, but I'm very wary of when people are in form and they're doing all right, moving them about. Like Luiz, the Southampton game, he was atrocious. Yesterday, he was quality. I guess he should come out for Gabriel. I don't think you can take Holding out at this moment in time. So yeah, I'm trying to be a bit fair. Gabriel, like you see, 9 out of 10 times, probably the first time today, he's always in my previews and things like that. And this is it, Daniel. You know, the month before, it's not that it's irrelevant, but it is irrelevant now. We just need to focus on on moving forward. It's almost sort of thing where we ain't achieved nothing. Let's go again. Man said, "Are you staying live with transfer updates until 11 p.m.?" You're going mad. Right? This ain't the summer thing. This ain't the summer one. And that's also true. So yeah, man. Big up yourself, Anderson, as well. Big up Dermot. But yeah, man, it's been an hour and 15 minutes. I don't think there's anything more to say, really. The only things that have changed is obviously it looks like Maitland-Niles' move to Southampton is off. Mustafi looks like he's going to Schalke. And Joe Willock to Newcastle. Doesn't seem like it's near complete, but it seems like we're moving in that direction, people. So on that note, I'm out, people. I'm going to get out of here. Please make sure you hit the like button. I'll be back again before too long. Obviously, we've spoken about transfers. We've done up the previews. You know you'll have a watch along tomorrow. We kick off at 6, so from 5:30, we'll be there. On that note, though, I'm out, though. Please make sure you hit the like button. As usual, I appreciate all the PayPal donations. I appreciate all the YouTube members. I appreciate the Twitch gang, Deluded 187. I appreciate all of you lot for just sitting here and giving up your hour and 15 minutes listening to me waffle about football. Like Sia said, please make sure you hit the like button as you leave. But on that note, God bless. I'm out.